Welcome one, welcome all. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Kurt Jones. He's sitting here watching the Tampa Bay Bucks, his favorite team, in overtime right now against a much improved Bryce Young. Kurt, I know you're watching the game and stuff, but I think we have a pause. How are you doing, man?
Good. It was a pretty decent day. I think it went about even, so we'll take that. Here, sweating this Bucks game. My dad's right beside me, so if you hear someone cheer or something, that's him. Fair warning. I probably won't get to pull up as far as like DVPs and shit like that. I probably won't get to pull it up until after the Bucks game. So I'll have probably a more clear guide of what I'm doing as far as fades and stuff like that later on in the show. For now, I'm going to have to just take your word for it as far as the matchups here today. But it's a great game. I want to kind of – I was with my son all day, so I didn't get to see nothing. I'm curious. There's no more snow. I'm pretty sure they got everything cleared, right? So there might be some blowing snow, but it's really just going to be cold, and NFL players are used to that shit, so we shouldn't worry about the weather at all. It's going to be a fun game despite the 49ers offensive line being extremely banged up. Brock Purdy's back, though.
Yep, Brock Purdy being back. The 49ers having some damage in the front line there, especially protecting Purdy. Their weapons, obviously no Ayuk and stuff too. It's going to be a little bit of a rough time for San Francisco, I think. And one big thing to note too is that Josh Allen and the Bills are coming off a bye week, and the 49ers are coming in on a little bit of a downswing. So when you see the spread here, right, when you bring up the Bills and 49ers on DK Sportsbook, 6.5, right, it seems pretty wide when you consider what we have come to know of the 49ers the last few years. And that has not been the case this year, especially over the last few weeks. This 49ers team is very much vulnerable. This is at home against a Buffalo team, going from the West Coast to the East Coast here. I think we're both going to be Team Bills tonight, and I do think that will probably end up being the status quo here.
Oh my God. Just go Bucks. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I did not know. I thought it was
How do you fumble that? How do you fumble that, Chuba? You bum. I love the Bucks. Oh, my God. Who stripped it?
They had just got down the 30-yard line and field goal.
The game was over. They were going to kick a field goal to win the game.
That was it. And then the guy fumbles.
Shout out Chuba Hubbard. Okay, continue, Rubio.
Oh, you're fine. Chuba Hubbard with the fumble then. So Tampa Bay, I did not even notice the odds flipped in their favor to -280. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a game where Bills heavy. You also have a little bit more value on the Bills side with Dalton Kincaid out. You have Keon Coleman out for this one as well. That's going to lead to value probably being more on like Dawson Knox. You even have this like running back carousel with Ty Johnson and Ray Davis getting 5 carries in the last game there in week 11. As far as the 49ers go, you know what you're getting. Just kind of a blanket rundown real quick on their stats. They're pretty good against the pass. They're 6th in the league against the pass in terms of passing yards allowed with 193.5. They're 12th against the run. They are one of the top 3 teams in the league against wide receivers who line up out wide. And really, you don't really have a huge specific target against them, Kurt. So the PPR running backs is what I had as the most beneficial spot when going against 49ers. As for the Bills, they are 15th in yards allowed per game, 12th against the pass, 14th against the rush. They are also very good against wide receivers out wide, but you can hit them in the slot. They are the 11th. They can see the 11th most yards in the NFL against the slot. That'll be another carousel of Pearsall, Kittle, Debo, and Jennings all played the slot pretty evenly last week against for the 49ers, I should say. Brady, this is a good one here. Is Ty Johnson number 2 or is it Ray Davis? I think the answer to that is yes. I think they're both at a point. Like Ray Davis seems to be more of one of those guys who's just going to rock him, sock him. Obviously from UK, playing his last year in college football at University of Kentucky and stuff. He looked great against the Jets when we saw him in a full sample, but Ty Johnson seems to be more reliable in terms of pass protection. So I do think they're going to play an even amount of snaps. If you just had to say pure running the ball, though, I would imagine Ray Davis might have a slightly better hand than that in terms of just carries on a game-to-game basis, but it is going to be very even for the most part there. All right, so real quick, I ran the Sims there on Saber Sim. And again, if you guys haven't signed up, I don't know if this promo code is still active, but Giblets44 if you wanted 44% off your first payment here at Run Pure Sports. If not, it is RPS15. That deal might have expired today, but we might have ran it through Sunday as well. So Giblets44, if not, RPS15, 15% off your first payment here at Run Pure Sports. So this is a great question. This is a throwback to last year when Kurt thought the same exact thing, and Kittle ended up having 3 touchdowns on 3 catches?
3 catches.
3 catches, 3 touchdowns. So I think Kurt is going to share that opinion of Kittle being forced to block a little bit more, but I will go against that because last time that Kurt said that, Kittle absolutely went nuclear. Let's go ahead and just run into these sim numbers real quick as well. If you're wondering, Saber Sim, I ran the $15, what is that? 250K to first tonight, ran the sims of what the most popular captains are tonight in there. And it's cheap captain. We don't actually get a lot of Josh Allen captain tonight using the Run Pure Sports projections here, Kurt. I know that you're watching the Bucs game, but are you in line with the cheap captain as well, or do you want to jam in Josh Allen at the top?
I'm in line with it because there are still, I mean, I know San Fran's got that banged up O-line, but there's still a lot of studs in this game you can get. Oh, nice. We just won the game. Hell yes. Rashad White. Nice. Okay. But yeah, I'm agreeing with the Sims here. I almost snatched. I feel like everyone, even the casuals, want to do the more cheaper captain. So whenever the Sims tell me that, I think I'm definitely going to run with it because this is star-studded here. So I'm going to agree with it. As far as the cheap captain, I don't have a stance yet, but I probably will later in the show. I think it's probably definitely going to be a Bills pass catcher, which is extremely frustrating sometimes, but I'm willing to kind of lay it out in the line and stick my hand in the dirt.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's a good point that you make there, too, talking about the Sims. So a fun fact is that when you always sort by projected score on like star-studded slates, similar to this, right? You Christian McCaffrey, you got Josh Allen, you even got, I think you can throw in Brock Purdy in there as well. Usually projected score always leans for cheap captain, but the Sims lean the opposite way. It's like, you got to jam a stud in. So it is kind of surprising to me as well that cheap captain is also the move. And more specifically, the top lineup, Kurt, is a Curtis Samuel captain tonight. So we'll get to wide receivers here in a bit. We'll start off with the quarterbacks here. Your Bucs are lining up for a field goal here. So I'll wait to kick it over to you so you can potentially celebrate a short chip shot field goal here. We'll find out, though. I think just overall, Josh Allen, I do want to get him in the captain if I am capable of. I'm going to bump his projection up and rerun these sims here in a second, Kurt. But to me, he is the MVP of this league. I think Josh Allen's going to win the MVP and run away with it. Especially a big game tonight would go a long way. Coming off the bye, I think the Bills kind of trounce them. And really, there's a large gap. Like, I think the cheap captains of Curtis Samuel and them are fine. But as far as just quarterbacks go, Josh Allen's my clear guy. And Brock Purdy, I think I'm only going to like him much in the flex at all. But there's also a chance I just lock him Bill's side with the captain here. What do you think here about the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm locking Josh Allen, of course, every time. Purdy, it's just been so good this year running the football that that is probably why I do want to force a cheaper captain so I can get both these quarterbacks. I feel like people can talk themselves into fading Purdy with all his weapons, but with the way he's running the football this year, I don't want to be. And with the weather being colder, I mean, I know he's still not 100%. They probably don't want to run him too much, but look, their seasons, it's getting tough as far as the outlook for the playoffs go for them. I don't think he really has a choice here. So assuming that he just keeps running like he has been when he needs to, which is what they need from him, that's why I want to keep jamming Brock Purdy.
So this is a great point, too. And I know that, like, when you're just watching the game and stuff, you see Brock Purdy kind of take off quite often. And you're like, man, he's got some rushing yards on him. Let's just go back to the last, every single week. He has not had a week where he's got single-digit rushing yards, which I think just says a lot. I think, like, his floor in terms of just rushing is great. But he's also got a 41 rushing yard game, a 56, a 40, a 33, a 27. Like, we almost have to kind of treat Brock Purdy like he's a running quarterback in this sense because those numbers are elite. When you have over, 267 rushing yards on the year, it is very notable, especially when those add up over the course of a game and stuff. 9,200. I do want both quarterbacks in my lineups tonight, Kurt. I do think it's possible. You mentioned the weather earlier. It is not going to be a perfect night if you're from the West Coast and stuff, even though San Francisco is not the warmest of places in the world. But it's definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? Buffalo weather, right? Buffalo football weather. Cold, bitter, probably snow a little bit on the ground, not completely, but mostly shoveled off to the side and stuff. I'm on the Bills heavy, but I think you can still run 4-2s with the Bills and Brock Purdy being one of those guys for the Niners. Anything else you want to add about the quarterbacks here?
No, just I like jamming them. Definitely Josh Allen, of course.
Congrats on the Bucs win as well. We got Snyder in the chat too. What's up, Snyder? How's it going, man? And we also, Bajo Jenkins, we got Curtis Samuel, DK Cat. I think that will probably be something that we'll spend a little bit of time on here very shortly. Zach, you mentioned it too. CMC and Moody or Purdy and Jennings, last two on FanDuel. This is a good just 2v2, Kurt. Which way do you lean? I actually lean Purdy and Jennings over this too. And we're going to talk about CMC right now. So we're going to use this here in just a second. CMC has not looked right.
No.
And I thought it was funny, like 2.5 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago or whatever, a friend of mine texted me and said they turned Christian McCaffrey into Brian Leonard. And like, it's like, seriously, like he looks like that. Like
Brian Leonard?
Yeah, the running back from, what was he from? Where did Brian Leonard go to college? But I wanted to say he was also Rutgers, the second round draft pick out of Rutgers, played for the Bengals and stuff for a few years and stuff. But the lack of explosiveness from CMC, like Kurt, I like the eye test. I think the eye test is a great way to judge if someone's really good or not. If they look fresh. CMC does not look like himself, and I don't think that's an exaggeration at all. And I think you always worry about calf injuries more than anything. Re-injury rate and stuff is very high for calves, and it's something that is very tough to shake off. But what's your initial thinking of CMC tonight? Because honestly, I'm leaning toward a fade for him at 10-6 here on DK, 15-5 on FanDuel. That's high.
You all seen that Alex Jones meme where he's like, look, I'm kind of a fucking idiot. Or like, I'm kind of a fucking R-word. But I agree with everything you just said. My buddy's been hammering it home since I think like one of the first carries he had this year, even though they look good against the Bucs. But he said he just doesn't look the same. And whatever they went to Germany to do, it obviously didn't work. I agree with everything you say. With that being said, they get Purdy back. He can get some dump offs. I historically always, and I guess even this year, they're third against the most fantasy points to running backs for the Bills. I'm going to do it one more try. He could catch like 7 balls here. They've not really been dumping it off to him much. Like the past 3 games, what's he got? I know the Bucs game he had a lot, but 3 catches, 4 catches, 6 catches. I think it could be an 8-catch game. The script, if they can just keep it close enough. Obviously the Green Bay game wasn't even close, and he didn't even play the last almost the whole fourth. I am actually not going to be fading him. I'm going to be jamming him in somehow, some way. I just think that, he's going to get a lot of huge floor. I think he falls in the box here, even with the banged up. Everything's telling you tonight. Everything is telling you not to play Christian McCaffrey. They're underdogs. The offensive line's trash. He's looked like dog shit. And guys, I'm telling you, when all that aligns, NFL fucking fantasy is so bullshit that 3 negatives make a positive. Okay? And I know you came here for logic and probably better analytics than this, but when all that shit lines up, that's why you play McCaffrey, and that's why I'll be playing him today. Even if it's in a terrible, gets 50 yards rushing and 8 catches, 60 yards, he falls in the box once, and maybe the raw points are enough. I'm playing him tonight.
3 negatives make a positive. I love it, Kurt. I love it. So just real quick, going over some props here real fast. All right, Christian McCaffrey, 4.5 catches. Prop juices on the under, -125 on the under.
Bump it up, Rubes. Come on. We've been killing these all year.
33.5 receiving yards. I actually like that a little bit better than the catches because I think he can bust a long one. He did last week. He busted a long one.
I love 5. 5's my bet of the fucking night.
So 33.5 receiving yards. Okay, that's good for McCaffrey, right? But I also want to flip this over to James Cook. So James Cook, I don't know what to think, Kurt. I really want to rely on you here. What was it, 9 carries in the last game? And the other 2 combined for 10 with Ty Johnson and Ray Davis got 5 apiece. That's not the lion's share anymore. That's just a split of the pie at this point. I like Christian McCaffrey more than I like James Cook. They are 1K apart. Is James Cook more capable out of the backfield than the other guys? Yes. And what do you want to target against the 49ers more than anything else? It's not saying a whole lot because the 49ers defense is pretty good. But you want to target running backs who can catch out of the backfield. That's something that they're kind of weaker against than they are, stronger in the other areas. 5 catches, 1 catch, 5 catches, 3 catches in the last 4 games for James Cook. If you had to say, if I gave you a 3-point buffer, James Cook plus 3 points against Christian McCaffrey, which side are you taking?
I'm not going to say a bad thing about James Cook. He's going to get all the goal line work and the design plays. He's going to get screens. He's going to get everything. But I think you're starting to notice the best natural runner on the team is Ray Davis. So it's kind of obviously James Cook is still going to get the workload, and that does not matter. But in between the 20s, I think you see Ray Davis kind of starting to get a little bit more, especially in the game where they're probably favored. Maybe James Cook plays the entire four, some shit like that. But it's scary because he's a guy who loves to shove and get 3 touchdowns, even on limited rushing yards. He can take one to the house with the screen game. And San Fran's, like you mentioned, a team like a target against PPR running backs. But I'm not when James Cook shoves it against me, I find myself being less mad than others because I'm like, man, there's another scenario where he gets like 4 fantasy points and I am dancing in the streets naked. So I will be under on James Cook, but I completely understand if you don't want to ride with that because he can score 3 in the first like half.
Well, he did that against the Dolphins on a Thursday night game earlier this year. He got it
Boom.
right.
I had him that night, so I was like, yay. But
I am not on James Cook, and I'll tell you why, right? Like, so this is the thing. And you kind of talked to me a little bit on McCaffrey just passing wise, right? James Cook, the 9 carries are a little bit of a red flag for me in an important game against Kansas City. This is also an important game against San Francisco. The in-conference matchup was definitely the most important. Getting a tiebreaker over Kansas City potentially is great. I am slightly worried, even though he scored 19 fantasy points and got those 2 touchdowns. He is by far one of the most touchdown-dependent guys in the league. And I don't know. I don't love playing that, Kurt, especially at 9.6, especially when you're going to get a little bit of ownership. And I know you can make the case for his passing ability, but he's 9.6. He's cleared 20 fantasy points twice all year. Right? If he doesn't clear 20 fantasy points tonight, I mean, he can get 18 and probably be in the winner and stuff. But to me, like, there's a floor to be had on him, right? And we haven't seen it yet because he scores every damn week. But I am under on him for that reason as well. I know we're both under, but like, I don't know. I think Ray Davis coming off a bye week too. You talk about rookie running backs kind of getting more and more comfortable. There's a decent chance they just like Ray Davis a ton, and he gets even more work this week as well. A little bit of red flags on James Cook. If you really want a dark horse tournament pivot, right? Like, look, I just talked about Ray Davis coming off the bye week. You look at what he's done in recent games and stuff, it's not impressive, right? Against Kansas City, he had 5 attempts, did nothing with them, right? 11 yards. Against Indianapolis, same thing. But I don't know. I think coming off a bye week, there's a little bit to be said about a rookie, especially, at the running back position. I don't know. I think there might be leverage to be had there. Kurt, let's move on to wide receivers here. So, Kurt, the 49ers play a mishmash of guys in the slot. So this is something I want to target because the Bills are very good at defending guys on the outside. However, the 49ers move everyone around the line of scrimmage. And this is a fun one here. What do you want to guess Deebo Samuel's catch prop is tonight?
How many receptions?
Receptions, yes.
5.5.
Yeah, you're way over. 3.5. You want to know who this is worse than? Juwan Jennings, 4.5. Christian McCaffrey, 4.5. George Kittle, 3.5, but way better juice on the over than Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is just thought of as the 4th option in the San Francisco 49ers offense, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. And it's right. Juwan Jennings is better than Deebo Samuel straight up right now, Kurt. And I don't think that's a debate at all. Sure. Deebo Samuel has a chance to be one of the lowest owned guys tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think he sucks now. You know what? He can score all. If he scores tonight, who cares? I'll stand by this take that Deebo Samuel, as of this moment, is not an elite wide receiver at all. And 9K is a joke. I'd rather have Kittle. I'd rather have Juwan Jennings at $1,600 cheaper. George Kittle is also cheaper as well. I think those people will see those props and think the same way and stuff. But I'm just going to go ahead and make the stand here now. I think Deebo's a very bad play. I think Ricky Pearsall at 4,800 is also a little bit of a thin play as well. I mean, you go back to last week, Kurt, week 12, and you just look at the routes here for the 49ers here, and it's not very promising outside Juwan Jennings and George Kittle and, Christian McCaffrey. Kind of gets a little bit more of a benefit, but Deebo is just over the hill, it seems. What do you think, Kurt?
I think there's a lure for playing Deebo because of all those games he had when he was playing running back. Mm-hmm. Like legit, he was playing running back. So there's this lure like, oh man, I don't want to fade Deebo because he could do this and that. And then Jennings has just became a better natural receiver than him, and it's kind of hurt. So like as far as pass catchers go, it's Jennings and Kittle, and then the running back McCaffrey's back. So it does hurt him. And the gadget plays just maybe he has lost a step. Maybe the injuries are kind of added up. He could dry shove tonight, but I think that is a point where he's not playing the running back position anymore, and he's not like a top. He's not like maybe I feel like they like using honestly Pearsall on more routes and stuff too. But yeah, it's a very I have to agree with everything you say. I probably will match or be over though, just because I think it's still a good GPP play despite him being dusty. So I don't think you need to play him in like single entry and stuff.
Yeah, so this is a good point too. Just going over the routes last week. So I got them up now. 25 for Kittle, 30 for Jennings, 27 for Debo, 21 for Pearsall. So Pearsall's not as bad as I thought. Again, they're very even in the slot. You want to target the slot against the Bills here. The guy who ran the most routes in the slot were both Kittle and Pearsall with 11, Jawan Jennings with 8, and then it was Debo with 7. So just food for thought there. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills side of the ball. Khalil Shakir, reception prop 5.5, decent yardage as well. No Dalton Kincaid, no Keon Coleman. You know who really impressed me a couple weeks ago going against the Chiefs? Curtis Samuel, Kurt. He looked very good. They moved him around the line of scrimmage. They got him the ball in space, and he ended up scoring a touchdown early, but he was also a factor down the field. 2.5 receptions. I love the over on that. I think that might be a same-game parlay addition that we have later on, but what do you think about this Bills receiving room?
I'm kind of curious about Samuel. He battled that turf toe thing, and we all know that lingers. Well, I mean, not that I've had it, but we've all heard about the NFL players dealing with this turf toe and how it lingers. And maybe it kind of like made him lose his step, and it's kind of hard to get a rhythm with a new quarterback when you're battling with turf toe. He kind of had the bye, and ever since the bye, he had one game, not much snaps, but it seems like ever since then, he's been 100% and has really started a good connection with Josh Allen. I think it's something to monitor moving forward. I'm kind of curious of what we see today. I'm willing to put all my chips in and hope it does keep developing as a good relationship between the two, because I really like him and he's cheap, and I've always been a Curtis Samuel guy. He is made of glass. You have to be careful. That's the only downfall. He gets hurt a whole bunch. So don't be surprised if you get the Curtis Samuel head to the locker room or Curtis Samuel being stretched off the field, some shit like that. Pray it doesn't. So I'm going to be overweight. I think he's a good captain play, obviously. The Sims agree there.
So real quick, going about the captain Curtis Samuel lineup.
Okay.
Are you doing that just because he's cheap, or do you think he's underpriced in this sense too? Because I'm kind of with you. I do want to captain Curtis Samuel today. If I'm not captaining Josh Allen, I think I want to captain Curtis Samuel in that sense too. Is that to fit both Purdy and McCaffrey? I know you don't have to give away everything, but I feel like that's the route, right?
Well, yeah, and I think it's to go on what I just said. I think that he's starting to develop that chemistry, and I think he's 100% healthy now.
Yes.
I think it's a combination of the two. I think he did get healthy a little probably before the bye, but now they're starting to time it up a little bit better because Josh Allen kind of knows when he's going to come out of his break, so he doesn't have dealing with turf toe anymore. So I'm curious to see if that keeps developing, and that's why I like him in the captain, because what if the trajectory does keep going up, and yeah, he's extremely underpriced. I think he's a great GPP captain.
That's what I'm thinking too, Kurt. I think we're both on Curtis Samuel.
There's a scenario where we're just completely wrong, and he just comes out here and does. But I don't care. I think the boom rate is.
Yeah. Do you bring the boom, Kurt? Is that something you do?
I don't bring the boom. I bring the doom. Feel me?
So we're both on the same page on Curtis Samuel. Then you were about to go into some other wide receivers, talk about them. Also bring up Knox too, because Knox is an important factor in this receiving room with Dalton Kincaid out.
Stanford's really good against. I mean, Fred Warner's just on your ass right there. As far as even if he's not in coverage, he's like any short route or anything like that. I don't mind Knox. I probably will be playing some Knox. I think Quentin Morris though, he loves these primetime slates. If you're jamming Josh Allen captain, I think Quentin Morris makes sense. Didn't Big T call him out first touchdown like 2 years ago or something? I'm sure he's got Quentin Morris in the pool, especially since he's a backup tight end. And I don't mind either of the tight ends. I think they're definitely fine. I don't think I'll need them in this Curtis Samuel captain build, but in the Josh Allen builds, I think Knox and them are fine. But as far as the other pass catchers go, how much is Matt Collins tonight? I don't like playing Matt Collins, but I mean the snaps are awesome. He loves to block.
3,600. So would you rather have Matt Collins straight up over Dawson Knox then? Because the projections are a 3-point difference. However, I'm with you. You've always said this on 49er slates. The tight ends going against them struggle. And it's because of Fred Warner. It's because of the way they play defense and stuff too. Like, if you wanted to go Matt Collins, we've been a very big fan of Matt Collins on this show quite often. We probably we love his TikToks, right? Like, you know, we're Gen Z. We can do it, but like really, like that would be a bold take because I think the ownership on Matt Collins will come in significantly lower than Dawson Knox. Is that something you prefer?
I think I would, especially since what the $400 gives you, but also just a better matchup. And I feel like he has 3 touchdowns this year. Like, what's Knox have? I mean, it's not like even when, I mean, I think he has better touchdown equity, honestly.
It's
weird to say.
The word better is the right way. I think it's very similar. I do think that there's.
I mean, it's 3-1. They probably played similar snaps all year. Let's see.
Yeah, with Dalton Kincaid missing.
Yeah,
out.
they played similar snaps all year, and no, even with Kincaid in, like they played similar snaps. And Matt Collins has 3 touchdowns to Knox's 1. So I mean,
all right, we're going to go to week 11 here, Kurt. So the Bills were not forced to throw the ball much against the Chiefs there. 12 routes for Dawson Knox, 8 for Matt Collins. Curtis Samuel ran the third most with 10. So that was even in a script. No, that's just a slot. My bad. I apologize. I take that back. Matt Collins, 24, Dawson Knox, 31. I was going to say that seemed way too late for Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel ran 28 routes as well. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think Curtis Samuel's the best play on the slate. 6 targets last week, 558 and 1. I like him in the captain. I think he might be my core captain as well, Kurt. I think my core tonight would be Curtis Samuel and the captain, Josh Allen, and then I think Brock Purdy. It allows you to go James Cook or Christian McCaffrey. I know I'm not really bullish on either of them. That's what I just said, 5 minutes ago, that I don't love either guy. I would rather have Christian McCaffrey straight up over James Cook, but if you're allowing me to spend up, if you're allowing me to get potentially the leading wide receiver in this room and Curtis Samuel, for 4,400, 6,600 in the captain. That's something I'm going to take. I'm going to try and take the floor of Christian McCaffrey. I think James Cook, his reception prop is 2.5 with, plus money on the over too. I like that as well. Like you can go either running back and be fine. I don't think I'd love to stack up the running backs tonight personally, but in this build with Curtis Samuel, at least going one running back is very, very fine. Let's go ahead and get that bot out of there as well. And Kurt, tight ends. Let's talk about tight ends here real quick. Oh wait, no, I want to answer Chris's question because we didn't talk about Amari Cooper.
Yes, I was about to say that because
Go ahead.
No, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with Cooper, bro.
So
I'm kind of hoping you would take.
I gotta say, Amari Cooper, great start to the Chiefs game, right? So as someone who bet a bunch of Curtis Samuel's props last game live because they didn't have him pre-game, Amari Cooper caught that real long pass down the left sideline against the Chiefs. That was week 11, right? He was a ghost after that drive. I don't think he had a single catch after that drive, and that was very early on in the game. He ran 22 routes, which he's getting more and more comfortable. He's coming off a bye, a freshly traded guy coming into a team, coming off a bye, probably benefits him more. So if there was a time to buy on Amari Cooper, and almost like last chance saloon, this would be it, right? And this would be kind of a reason where if you're high on Amari Cooper, probably not as high on Matt Collins, right? This is the thing where his ownership, he's 7,200. It's going to be real low. If you think the snaps trend up, if you think the routes trend up from 66% to 80, 85% and stuff, take the click. It's worth the risk. Coming off a bye week, a new player coming in who was with the team for a few weeks before that. I don't mind that at all, but you have to recognize that he has a decent chance of being the third or fourth option in this receiving room here. That's the risk. But again, under 20% ownership, according to Sabre, it's a well-calculated risk. All right, Kurt, Kittle time. You know the drill. What are you doing with your boy, your favorite player in the NFL, George Kittle?
I think I'm going to play him tonight just because we have to, because this is really close to the scenario last year.
Yep.
I'm just going to play him. Makes no sense to play Kittle. Makes no sense to play McCaffrey. So fuck it. I'm playing him. So I'm ruining George Kittle's career. I don't care.
All right. So real quick, just so people don't know the background.
To play hold that thought. Don't forget that. But to play devil's advocate, with the offensive line beat up, quicker throws, it favors George Kittle. So even if he's chipping and kind of leaking out, he can really be a safety blanket for an offensive line that might not be able to protect Purdy as long.
So second or third highest reception prop on the team behind Jennings and McCaffrey here. I think Kittle's a great play, Kurt. And I know that he is going to block a lot. We're not going to move past that. What you said last year, he's going to block a lot, and then he had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns last year. You weren't wrong. However, you look at these weapons, right? And Jawan Jennings has been great. You also look at Ricky Pearsall has not been bad when he has gotten playing time and stuff. So I don't want to discount that. But Kittle is their best offensive player as things stand, and I don't think they're going to forget about him. And Ross, you mentioned this. Any first touchdown prop bet. There's not been a better first touchdown hunter than Mangone. He's been on an absolute tear this season, and he's
good at the Bills ones too.
Yes, and he is on George Kittle plus 1,600 first touchdown tonight. I actually like that one a lot. And look, I think the Bills roll, but I think the value on that Kittle bet is there. You also look at the Bills side of the ball. Maybe you can make the case for Curtis Samuel. I could see maybe betting him as a first touchdown, but when you go to the touchdown props for the Bills, it's much more than I would say. Plus 550, plus 600 for Josh Allen, plus 950 for Amari Cooper. Give me the plus 1600 for George Kittle there. And I think that would probably be the best one there. Baho Jenkins also has a good question here, Kurt. Kittle or James Cook straight up?
Man, you're just going to leave the money on the table, I guess?
I mean, yeah, just straight up, what's the take?
I'm guessing this is DraftKings. I got to go. God bless this.
I think it's Cook. I just do.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
large
yeah.
difference. I don't like Cook, but his floor is much better than Kittle's.
I gotta agree. I want to say Kittle so bad, but I'll say Cook.
All right, kickers and defenses. And before you guys leave, we will do a same game parlay here in just a second. The boost on DraftKings tonight, is it 20%? Let's find out. It is 20% profit boost for the same game parlay tonight. And we'll do that here very shortly after Kurt goes over the kickers and defenses here. Chris, I think we're both on Purdy here, by the way, just because his rushing upside is well worth it in that sense where he has 3 games of 20 or 4 games of 27 rushing yards or more. And we're both kind of a little bit lighter on Cook. All right, kickers and defenses, Kurt, what do you think?
I think Bills defense is fine. I know they're expensive, but there's a route where this offensive line does look really bad. San Francisco, the same old San Francisco. Is Fred Warner still playing tonight, even with that broken leg?
That's a good. Let me check here real quick for you.
But they came out and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I've been playing with a broken fibula for 3 weeks." Like, bro, what?
I didn't see anything against that. So
that shit's broken. He's in. So he continues to play with a broken leg. So shout out Fred Warner. That's nuts. Also, when we had the Eagles game, I think last week, I said Schwartz as the D coordinator. It's Fangio. There's defensive coordinators saying to me. So sorry about that. I don't know why I just thought of that. But God, the guy's a broken leg. That's just nuts. I know the Bills are expensive, but I think in the right script, you kind of just jam all those Bills like a 4-2, run it back with like McCaffrey and just Kittle or something like that. But 49ers just isn't the same. And like I said, the guy's broken leg. I know they're cheap, but I'm going to be off. The kickers, I'm going to go kind of like back to the McCaffrey thing. Moody is the hot weather kicker. Hot weather, San Fran's hot to me. But the $200 savings I found in a couple lineups was nice. So I'm going to do reverse logic, even though you shouldn't play Moody because he's a warm weather kicker. I am going to play him. If you had the money, I do prefer Bass because he's just kicking up there. Obviously, probably been kicking up there all week in the freaking snow like a sicko, like a weirdo. I really do like Bass today, kind of. It's expensive, though, and that I don't know what the win situation is, though. So.
It's okay. I mean, I wouldn't get alarmed by the kickers here too much. The weather was worse than that Browns and Steelers one. There's a little bit of snow in the stadium right now, but nothing. It doesn't look that bad. Let's be honest here. I think the kickers are fine. Kurt, let's build the same game parlay here. You mentioned McCaffrey reception profit 4.5. You like the over that. Would you rather have the over 4.5 receptions for McCaffrey or the over 33.5 receiving yards? Which one do you prefer?
I know which one you want.
I'm fine with either one.
I want the catches.
Let's do 4.5 catches then. Over for Christian McCaffrey. All right, I'm going to bring up. Let's go to the rushing prop here. All right, let's look at Purdy's. I want to look at Purdy's here, and I think it's kind of juicy. All right, so the rushing prop on Purdy, 17.5. Is that something that I can interest you in, Kurt?
30.5?
17.5.
On Purdy?
On Purdy. Yeah. No games with less than double-digit rushing yards this year.
Probably a fish bet, but I'm still taking it.
I'm a fish. I love to swim upstream. So we got Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey props here. Let's go ahead real quick. Davis or Johnson? Davis straight up. You're splitting hairs though. Ray Davis should potentially more work, I would think, around the goal line if it came to that. But Ty Johnson, more of your passing downs guy there for pass blocking. Could you win playing both McCaffrey and Mason on DK? Mason has been getting a lot of work, and value sucks. So I'm not going to completely rule that out. And if value was better, if we had much better value below 4K, I think that would be a little bit of a shaky thing to do. But here on this slate, it is fine.
That's the good thing about playing Ray Davis. Like, if you play Ray Davis and God forbid James Cook get hurt, you probably win the slate. Like, he's optimal. You don't want to root for injuries, and honestly, maybe he gets there without it. But yeah.
Kurt, do you want to hear my favorite prop?
Oh, yeah.
Curtis Samuel, 25 plus yards is plus 125.
That's nice.
Do you want to do the 40 yards, though, at plus 320?
How many?
Do we play it safe? Do we try and hit home runs here? Or do we?
How many snaps do you have in the slot?
Well, Last week in the slot, he had, 10 routes in the slot from his 28.
And now you got, Coleman didn't run in from the slot, but still. They need, Shakir will have to do some more of that Coleman role. So, yeah, let's do it. 40 plus. Fuck it.
40 yard. That gives us the plus 1,300 already. We do a minimum 4 legs here because that's what you need for the boost. I actually really like that one. I think you could even ladder Curtis Samuel from 25 to 40 to 50.
I forgot that I'm in DraftKings eligible state. So,
oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah,
yeah, you can place it now.
Nice.
And then one last leg. So right now we got over 4.5 receptions for Christian McCaffrey, over 17.5 rushing yards for Brock Purdy, 40 plus Curtis Samuel receiving yards. And Kurt, we're just missing one thing. Who do we go? You know, it was Dallas Goedert who held us back last week, Kurt. Did you know that?
That blew my mind.
Yeah, we under hit on him hard, man.
So tilting.
I need
that was my boy. That was my
that?
boy too. That was my boy last week. I was going everything on.
So, Kurt, I'm going to bring this one up here real quick for you. Do we want to do James Cook receptions over 2.5? No? Okay. Not keep the facial expressions coming. I'm going to throw some props at you here.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to throw Juwan Jennings 40 plus yards. It's minus 215, but I think it would get us to 20-1, which is what we want on this one. So we can win 50 to win 1,000. That would get us to plus just an even 20-1. Juwan Jennings.
He kind of has really been Brock Purdy's safety blanket too.
Let's do it. Let's rifle it in. All right. 4-leg SGP, 4.5 receptions over for Christian McCaffrey, 40 plus receiving yards for Juwan Jennings, 40 plus receiving yards for Curtis Samuel, then over 17.5 rushing yards for Brock Purdy. We're going to go ahead and hit the profit boost on that. It's 20% on DraftKings. It may vary by state or by account. And yeah, let's rifle it home and let's have some fun tonight. If you guys have any questions, absolutely rifle them in. We still got a few minutes. I'll go ahead and ban the bot as well. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, shoot them over. 4-game SGP. I'm going to go over it one last time so that way everyone can hear it and blame me for when it loses. Over 4.5 Christian McCaffrey receptions, 40 plus receiving yards for Juwan Jennings and Curtis Samuel, and then over 17.5 rushing yards for Brock Purdy. All right, so questions, throw them in here. What was the parlay? J-Rock, that would be a great one.
Jesus.
I think he is being facetious, but I respect it at that.
Yes, he is.
I went over it again. Yes.
I guess we got Chase Brown tilted us into not adding touchdown scores anymore, which is probably smart.
Yep. Pick 6 picks. Mario Banks. They're definitely not the same product at all, but you can look at those potentially being very similar. Let's go ahead and see the DK pick 6.
Mangone's going right back to Cook, who's been so good in this year, but I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can just root. That's nice to know that if Cook full shows, Mangone's going to be happy. So I can root for somebody.
Yep.
And JSU. Okay. I'm just giving away stuff here. Whoopsies.
NBA DK. Kickers defenses, like I said, the value below 4K is very shaky. Kickers and defenses, to me, are even more viable. And this Bills defense as well. This 49ers offensive line is banged up. Who knows how they look tonight, but it'll definitely be a little bit more heavy on the Bills as well. All right. A couple minutes left. We'll probably sign off here a little bit early as well. Yeah, pick 6 picks Mario Banks. I can't see him in my state. That's why I don't really say it. We don't have anything posted in the Run Pure Sports Discord either. But some of those props might exist in a very similar fashion there that we did on the same game parlay. The Curtis Samuel, I think, what was it? Like his receiving prop might even be like 20.5 or something like that. That'd be my favorite one to do for tonight. Chris, if we just go back to 2 weeks ago when they played the Chiefs, Samuel ran the second most receiving routes or wide receiver routes in that game for the Bills. And he looked great in them. 6 targets, 5 catches and stuff. I think that might be one of my favorite ones here. Not just more attention and stuff, but just more and more healthy, as Kurt was alluding to earlier in the show. All right. Well, thank you, Legene Ruiz. We greatly appreciate that. We hope we wish you good luck tonight. I hope you all had a very happy Thanksgiving as well. We're now into the month of December. We have Christmas here in 3 weeks as well. So Merry Christmas to anyone who doesn't watch us again.
Shout out to Gene.
Hopefully you do come back next week and the week after, but should be a good time. For Kurt and for I, we greatly appreciate y'all for watching. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving and have a great rest of your day. And good luck on the same game parlay tonight.